Hello, Dave. Today is Sunday, May the 1st, 2022. I am the Bro 9000, and I trust you are all functioning well today. Today we are talking about all the shite that has been happening in the entertainment and the socials this week. Hello, everybody. I am Mr. Brown. Welcome to the show. A distinct lack of bodies today, so we'll just get what guests we've got out. So I hope you're all well. Let's just do it. Okay, so first up, in life, sometimes you just have to mingle with the great unwashed. He's the poshest person on YouTube. It's the dark Sith Lord Chord. Hello, pal. You all right?
I am all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Chord is going to stick, isn't it?
It's a better bloody not.
Dark Lord.
No, it
Dark
probably
Lord.
will. I will accept Dark Lord. Dark Lord was fun.
It was. How's your channel going, my friend?
It's doing all right. I think we've got 100 and something subscribers in the last week, which isn't bad because we haven't actually put anything out. So it's going
taken me like a year to get them.
Honestly, they are right. I mean, it takes so much longer to get the first 100 than it takes to get 100 after you've sort of got the 1,000. I mean, it probably took us 2 months to get 100, and then brilliant. Now it's taken a week. So hooray for that! We haven't even put much out, but there is a big video coming out tomorrow.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Picard video on the way.
At the end
Discovery?
of this season, Discovery is coming out tomorrow. That's part 2, so that's another long man bit, and then there will be a Picard one when that finally wraps up, and it might well be the last one I do on that subject because it's not even fun to hate on it anymore. It's just miserable.
Yeah, I was going to say, as soon as I said Discovery, then all the viewers disappeared.
Understandably.
Anyway, so everything's good in Little Platoon Land.
Yeah, I think my voice is about an octave lower after all the whiskey we consumed on the stream yesterday. But no, it's all
stream.
Good.
Should we get the only body out? Should we get the only body out?
That sounds like a plan.
Last but by no means least, he's the wise elder of the channel. I know he hates this. It's the Mega Geek. Hey, Ian.
Yeah, you're all right, guys.
Yeah, not bad. You good?
Just us three today, is it? Good God.
Yes, intimate.
Yeah, not that kind of intimate, though, is it? There you go.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, haven't they? So.
Yep.
So just going to be the kind of musings, the entertainment, the social stuff. We'll just march on through it all. Okay, so end of week musings, May 1st, 2022. Mr. Brown Alliance, please like, share, and subscribe in the tiniest font I could find.
Yeah. Notice that one.
Okay, so this week on Elon news, obviously the big news this week was Lost Chord.
Sorry, what the big news was? Elon posting this little graph attempting to show.
Buying. It was confirmed, wasn't it? Him buying the Twitter.
Oh, it was. No, I'm sorry. I've been reading so much reeing since that happened that it sort of seems like it's more than a week. But no. That was the big deal. The deal went through. He is buying it. He will take it private. And
did he actually
do that? Sorry.
Did he actually do that? Sorry, did he actually do that diagram? Or was that a joke?
Yes.
He posted it. I don't know if he made it, but he posted it, and it sent a lot more people reeing into all corners of the internet. It was really quite funny, and there's been a lot of attempts at pushing back on it. People, as inevitably happens, everyone can cite any study that proves anything they wanted to prove. So you had people citing studies which show that actually, objectively speaking, the left hasn't moved at all, and it's actually the right that's become more extreme. which is obviously nonsense to anyone who's been paying attention, but principally nonsense because the way that study worked is that it just based radicalization on how much a political party votes in line with its own policies. So Republicans used to be really hard to herd, as in herding like cats. They just disagree with each other and everything. Now they're not. They all vote in a block. And so the argument is that they've hardened their positions and have radicalized more than the left has because the Democrats vote with or against each other as much as they used to. That obviously doesn't prove what they say it's trying to prove, because the really simple way of proving whether or not one side is radicalized is to compare what policies they stand on today versus the policies they stood on at the last election or the one before that. And, back in 2008, you had Barack Obama running for president as a Democrat saying he believes marriage is between a man and a woman. Now you have the Republicans saying we're basically okay with gay marriage. So which has moved to the right or the left here? It doesn't seem to me that based on what they used to campaign for, the Republicans have radicalized. In fact, they've moved to the left on most social issues and increasingly on economic issues as well. But that's the sort of the long,
what the
boring
frick? I mean, that's just a minefield. Look, right, politicians are supposed to look after people, look after the welfare of their country, right? That's,
for everybody,
as far as I'm concerned, that's what politicians are supposed to do. If somebody wants to get married to a man, or if a woman wants to get married to a woman, whatever, it's got nothing to do with them. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Their job is to make sure that everything is fair in the country that they represent, or that's their job. They don't have the right to comment on things like that. Do you know what I mean? Those are individual problems. Those are people. You know what I mean? Unless it becomes a huge problem that it engulfs everything. Oh God, this is. I can't stand politics at all. When somebody says to me, "What do you think of this?" They go, "Oh, well, you're on the right, are you?" I'm like, I have no concept what the right or the left is. I just tell you what I think. Why are you putting me in a box? It makes no sense. In fact,
just
it makes no sense to have governments anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
Melvin Deeply, hello Melvin, in the chat says, the Yanks have just announced a new Ministry of Truth.
Yes,
yeah, according to their truth. Right?
Yeah, that's the woman who can sing. She can sing. What is it? Is it pantomimes or what is it? What's she been singing?
Yeah,
musicals.
Theatre type thing, and she's been put in charge of the new Disinformation Governance Board.
Yeah, this is in relation to this, isn't it? The Elon buying. They're panicking, aren't they? Effectively.
Basically, yes. I mean, they've created this new Disinformation Governance Board because they are obsessed. People on that particular faction of the left, the faction that's in power in the United States, are obsessed that it can't possibly be that people who disagree with them do so honestly, or even that they might be right. If anybody disagrees with them, which most voters now do, it must be because they're being lied to, probably by the Russians, but if not by the Russians, then by Trump fanatics, and if not by Trump fanatics, then by billionaires. And they are claiming that they are going to go and counter the spread of disinformation, which is hilarious, given that this was announced by the press secretary of the White House, whose literal job is to spread the Biden administration's misinformation. So it's complete, utter nonsense. And they've appointed to this position a woman.
So why should anyone vote then? Why should anyone vote then? If we know these things are happening, if we know that the governments don't work and they only work to service themselves and make the rich richer, as they would say, why bother voting? Remember that walk where everybody went out. It was like thousands and thousands upon thousands of people, and they went into London. They walked and they were against the war. I can't remember what it was, and the government didn't do it. The government just didn't listen to them and just went to war anyway. Went to war anyway. So what is the point? Why vote? I just don't understand the logic behind any of this.
Well, I would say if nobody voted at all, obviously the system would collapse. But the problem is, while there were people voting, somebody will be voted for.
Do you know what will change?
The only way it'll work is if nobody at all votes.
Well, you know what will change the world is if scientists discovered, right, that this is don't have a go at me at this. Say scientists discovered there was such thing as a heaven and hell, and if people actually with complete proof that these things existed, do you think people will change? Of course they'll change. They'll be like, all over the place, wouldn't they? The whole attitude would change if they knew that there was punishment.
Or a very, very big asteroid was coming our way.
Exactly, wouldn't they? Don't you think? They would change, right?
I would say it has been quite amusing how it's the right, isn't it, have been panicking over this, and Elon's been kind of joking along with it and kind of trolling them, I suppose.
He's the richest man in the world, isn't he?
And now it feels like a lot of the people who have been silenced for the past 10 years are starting to wake up a little bit, because they feel the twattersphere is a little bit safer for them to say stuff now. So this is very, very much a work in progress, is it not, Lord?
You know, it is. I mean, since Elon Musk announced he was intending to buy it, Twitter's user base has actually increased significantly. And since he's actually bought it, many, many more users have piled in, which is probably for the best, but it's also kind of revealing about how welcoming it was to people of a certain political persuasion beforehand. Twitter's, I mean, you've seen Jack Dorsey, the creator of Twitter, come out and attempt to create his own sort of redemption story, saying he loves what Elon Musk is doing, and actually he's always secretly agreed with it, and Twitter did go wrong, and he was just powerless to stop it, being the man who created the damn thing. But it did become, for a really long time, it was trending in one direction and one direction only. It was very safe. If you were on a certain faction of the left, you could say whatever you happened to say, whatever you wanted to say. You can, pretend that there are 15 billion genders, and you can argue for communism, and you can back the Taliban, and you can be the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran, and all the rest of this stuff. But if you say, oh, no, I actually think there's only two genders, or maybe communism isn't very good, or any of the rest of this stuff, you're much more likely to be cracked down on by Twitter. Something like 95% of Twitter's staff donated to Democrats in the last election. 95% of them. And this inevitably, even if it's not a conscious attempt, sways decisions when it comes to, for example, when they're deciding who to ban, or when they're deciding if shadow banning is a thing, when they're deciding who to shadow ban, or what narratives they want to push via the trending topics. If 95% of your staff all agrees with each other, then they're not going to be listening to any countervailing point of view, and their whole worldview gets skewed by the fact that they do not listen. They literally have no one around them who disagrees with them on anything. And it's bad in the long term for social discourse, because Twitter is the de facto public square, and this is the place where journalists get a lot of their news stories, and it's where all the politicians congregate, and you can speak to celebrities, and everyone is on it. And if it's deliberately skewing in one direction to the exclusion of half the country or more, it's bad for democracy as a whole, and it makes everything much more head up because no one's talking to each other. So good on Elon Musk. He's going to be really hamstrung by a lot of international laws and agreements and regulations, which will make it very difficult for him to fulfill what he says he's going to do as it comes to free speech, because
he'll just buy them all.
That would be nice. I'd be happy to see Elon Musk buy the European Union, because it might stop being such a shit organization. But he'll have some trouble, but at least it's trending in the right direction.
If I may, a body has turned up. Shall we bring them in?
We have a body.
Is it alive?
Barely.
Doesn't care
I've not got my script written, but I'll try and remember it from
She's the princess of what was I can't remember.
Next up, she's the Princess of Xanadu, but she's queen of this channel. Princess Rennie.
Hello.
You're a bit low.
Yeah. It's good to hear you guys. I was like, oh no, there's only 3 people on. I can't do that to you guys. Plus, I had to come say hi to Ian.
Hello.
Hey Ian, how are you?
I'm all right, sweetheart. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. You sounded pretty tired. I'm like, oh, poor guy.
I'm always tired.
It's his age, bless him. Rennie, have you got any?
Yeah, I know. You keep saying that. It's like it's like Morecambe and Wise when he used to tease him about his wig, didn't he? But yet Eric didn't have any hair on his head. It's like that, isn't
That's
it?
right.
So, yeah. There you go.
Moving swiftly on.
But I did appreciate what Darth Chord had to say about. Sorry, Lost Chord, don't kill me, please. It was just so cute. But I do appreciate what you had to say about Elon Musk, and I thought that was pretty. What's the word I'm trying to use? Because I feel like Simple Jack today, and I don't have a good brain. But
every day. Yeah, my brain's gone today.
But yeah, it was very well said, very well put, and it's just kind of funny when you look at all the the millionaires and billionaires that own all these other news outlets or social media outlets that are far, far left. But you have this one guy that's kind of in the middle that's being accused of being conservative, and they're throwing a fit about him buying one outlet when the rest of them have a bunch. So it's just kind of funny the way the world works right now.
It's all about power, isn't it, at the end of the day? And, it's about money.
Yeah, when it should just be about, people,
the betterment of the human species. Yes.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Social media is about connecting. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about connecting with your friends and posting fun stuff. At least that's what it was initially, right? And now it's just about us versus them, and it's it really shouldn't be that way.
When Twitter started, I remember when I wasn't part of Twitter when it actually started, but I remember you used to actually talk to celebrities on Twitter. It wasn't that hard to start talking to them via Twitter.
And it was more fun because it would the characters were very, very limited back in the day. I think you could get out 2 small sentences if you were lucky, but it was just
128 characters or one, something like that, I don't know.
But it used to be a very small amount compared to that. I'm telling you, I want to say it was 40. Yeah. It was really small. So you'd be okay, just had Smoothie King, having a good day. And that's it. You really couldn't say much. And it was just kind of a fun little fast thing to talk about how your day was going. Now it's just all about preaching and fighting. And
I'm right.
You're wrong.
Racist. Should we do a couple of the chats? Melvin, I'd be curious to know where that 95% statistic came from. Jonathan Frost, hello, Jonathan. On Twitter, people who sit on the left are panicking, saying we'll see the right conspiracy theorists will be allowed to spread their bullcrap. I think extremists are panicking. They are.
Well, they are, aren't they?
Matt I, or is it Matt 1? I know so many people have come back to Twitter as soon as Elon bought it.
Well, and it's kind of funny, right? Twitter jail isn't really happening this week so much.
Problem being, who's Jewish, he got booted off, didn't he? For anti-Semitic Semitic comments. Can you believe it? Got booted off, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know there was such a thing as an anti-Semitic Jewish person. Seems kind of seems kind of like an oxymoron, right?
Yes. Yeah. Cruel, the only thing in the sorry, I'll start again. The only thing is that the UK government and EU are trying or have pushed through an online safety bill.
Yeah. It's funny, right? Because when YouTube and Twitter and all that started up, it was for the right reasons, wasn't it? And as the years went on, the people in power found ways to use it as a weapon, and use it for the wrong means and stuff like that. It happens with everything, I guess.
But I feel like Facebook sometimes is more toxic than Twitter, to be honest.
Don't go on it anymore.
I told you guys, I think yesterday, I deactivated mine. Yeah. It was so nasty, and I'm like, ooh.
I can't deactivate mine because I have relatives and stuff that want to know what's happening with the Diaz family. So
they can
I have
still
to stay on there.
They can still contact you on Messenger if you deactivate your Facebook. It's just that they won't see your post.
Yeah, but they want to see pictures and stuff. So that's the problem. So
Maggie, it's a big family, man. So that's perfect.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, my family's huge.
Okay, so Lost Chord.
Yes.
So 30 seconds to where do you think Twitter is going to go in the next few months? 20 seconds.
So, oh God, I mean, very quickly picking up on the chat that came through about where the 95% figure comes from. That's the Federal Election Commission. Comment about the online harms bill that came through afterwards, though, is what is going to make this very interesting as far as what comes through next. Because, as mentioned, Elon Musk might have these grand ambitions for increasing free speech on Twitter, but you have this government in our country pushing through an online harms bill, which basically says that if our culture secretary, Nadine Dorries, who is famously not good on free speech, decides that online content is harmful, then they will compel social media companies by law to take that down or fine them up to hundreds of millions of dollars for not so doing. The European Union is pushing through its own equivalent of this, and the European Union, along with this country and the United States, just signed the Declaration on the Future of the Internet, which says we absolutely respect and we encourage the proliferation of free speech on the internet, except when it concerns hate speech and harmful content, in which case, yeah. So Elon Musk has this to overcome. It's one thing to take over Twitter and say, well, I'm a rich billionaire, I can buy this company and free speech will be restored. But if national governments are going to start fining you hundreds of millions of dollars for not removing content that they don't like, then it makes it very difficult for him to actually achieve what he says he wants to achieve. So I wouldn't expect too much of Twitter, and even under Elon Musk. It's encouraging because it can't not be. It can't be worse, but it's also he's facing a lot of hurdles that people aren't spending enough time focusing on anything.
It's an impossible task, isn't it? Because if the governments do put these rules in, then they have they've made themselves the right to, to take down anything that they disagree with, which flies in the face of free speech, right?
Well, and not just that, but anything that doesn't fit their narrative, whether it's true or false, is misinformation. You can fact check it all you want, but it's still misinformation if it doesn't fit what they want you to hear.
Melvin Deeply in the chat, here's a question. What exactly is an extremist? It's a word that gets thrown around a lot without a proper definition.
Sorry, Brown.
You will be.
Rude.
Anyone who disagrees with the people in charge gets called an extremist now, or a racist.
I mean, it's the government is not introducing free speech; they're introducing censorship. That's what the government's trying to do, and everybody knows this, but yet no one has the power to stop them, I guess.
Cruel, did you hear? Elon is accused of buying Twitter for China.
Oh,
he's going to wrap it up in a box.
Do you want to know who spread this rumor? Talking about how
the left, the right. Who?
We're talking all about how some people are saying how it's terrible that billionaires should own multimedia companies. That rumor was spread on Twitter by Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post.
Oh, that was my next guess, and it's funny that you say that. I'm not surprised one bit that it's either Zuckerberg, Bezos, or Bill Gates. Those are the top three manipulators we have in the US.
Developing here, isn't there?
Yeah.
There really is. And no one seemed to question it.
Hello,
why would Jeff Bezos, the man who is rivaling, like Elon Musk's principal rival in everything from space exploration to social media, why would he possibly have an interest in portraying Elon Musk as a pawn of the Chinese? The owner, incidentally, of Amazon, which, it's not exactly got the best record on China itself. But all this just uncritically repeated, which is just propaganda from Jeff Bezos. And,
but if you know it, then other people will know it, right? So
I would suggest to people stop buying goods from Amazon. Support your local traders.
That's not going to work.
That's
not going to work.
Standard of it all, isn't it? And Bezos knows that.
Yeah. I was just watching Speed on Amazon today. So.
Well, I can tell you guys, I don't know if you guys actually have Amazon warehouses or plants out there, but they have the reputation of being one of the worst companies to work for.
Yep.
They pay very well, but I've known so many people who say that it is not worth the money because they treat you like complete garbage. They expect blood out of their employees and they work you to death. At these so they start anywhere from about $16 to $20 an hour to work in the warehouse, but they really do squeeze you dry. And the drivers literally get their mileage micromanaged. And if you are half a mile off, they will question you. Or if you take too long at an address, they literally track these people. And that's awful. What a horrible way to live just because you're trying to pay your bills. What happens if there's road work and you get detoured? I mean, you can't you can't count on that, or you can't expect that at the beginning of your day. You don't know.
That's how they get the profit, isn't it? It's
literally just talk to Simon Sinek. That's what they need to talk to.
Yeah, it's just awful.
Okay. So shall we move on from this?
Moving on.
Okay.
Move along.
Ideally, that would have been a couple of minutes, but 25 minutes in, we just finished. Okay, so this week this is firing up again. I had a look at the profile. The person on the left seems a bit dodgy. I think just to stir the shit up a little bit, decided to tweet Marvel and
What's his beef, or her beef, or him?
Just no beef. Just says here, Marvel, hear me out. Just replace him.
Why?
So,
there must be a reason.
For some reason, it went viral, and then it's Chris Pratt, by the way, and then because there's a certain people don't like him for basically remaining silent and not saying anything that is racist by not saying anything.
I think he's a douchebag and a little bit up his own ass, but I mean, I don't
Hollywood.
think that we should, base his acting on, his personal choices. But like, honestly, I don't think he's done anything all that bad.
I don't know him anyway, so I can't comment.
In the minds of these people, so this stems back to 2020. And the really insane thing about this is that he did nothing. And it was the fact that he did nothing that they don't like. So there was a time when a lot of Marvel stars went out and campaigned for Biden and appeared at Biden fundraisers, and Chris Pratt wasn't there. And that is literally it. That was enough for people at the time to say, cancel him. He's clearly a Trump voting conservative, racist, homophobe. Also, he goes to a church. Therefore, he must by definition be homophobic. And it sort of rears its head every now and then. But the entire thing is based on an absence. It's just the fact that he is not overtly campaigning for a left-wing political figure means he must by definition be an anti-left-wing person. He must be on the right. And the fact he goes to a church means he must be homophobic. And so he should be cancelled.
Isn't Chris Pratt religious?
So
yes,
hold on.
I think so.
So with everything that you said, Lost Chord, right?
Chord.
Lord.
Dark Sith Lord.
Dark Lord. With everything you said, which is common sense, shouldn't Twitter be governed that way? So, for instance, if this happened and you investigated and you found that this guy is just sounding off and being silly, he has the right to say that, obviously. But what would you do here if you were in charge? Would you ban this fella, or would you? What would you do?
Not. I would leave it. I mean, it's a silly thing that happens on Twitter, and it gets amplified because Twitter has been skewed in the direction it's been, as we covered. Because Twitter has been so skewed in that direction, and so many of its users are disproportionately representing one particularly radical political faction. This is the reason this stuff gets amplified. The answer to that is more speech from the other side and not less speech from these idiots who say this kind of stuff. Because if you had a better balance in Twitter's user base from politics, then idiots like this would come out with this kind of crap, and they would be piled on by people who had common sense.
Well, this guy was using his, in inverted commas, disabilities as badges of honor in his profile.
So I mean, we're already committing hate speech because we're actually misgendering them.
Yeah.
Because it's she, her as the pronouns in the bio, which automatically means you should dismiss anything they say.
Yeah.
So it's a she, her then. What is it?
I don't know. I couldn't work it out.
She, her.
I couldn't work it out.
What's a she, her then?
It's a woman.
New Marvel
series. If you, because yeah. Well, we looked into this on our stream on Friday, so we actually covered her. And if you do find her Twitter profile, it is insane. So she is a woman, but she is proudly disabled, bisexual, pansexual as well. It's just a list autistic of high status opinions, autistic and ADHD and all the rest. Just listing victimhood claims, and then that apparently.
Hold on. So,
on Twitter.
As she says, she's a she, her. That means she's female.
Yes.
So what's the problem?
Well, Brown said him, so basically that's hate speech.
Bad Brown.
So that's hate speech then.
They would argue that.
This is so stupid. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's absolute nonsense. It really is
bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the long-term hope for Elon Musk, is that eventually, if he gets his way, we will not have to talk about this kind of shit anymore.
Yeah. We might actually hear something from Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Chris Pratt, but it's best just to stay away from this stuff and not say anything.
Obviously,
you can't say anything. They can't accuse you of anything.
Okay.
That was the
obvious
problem. He
joke.
didn't say anything, and they did accuse him of stuff.
Yeah, well, they can do all that, but they need to prove it, don't they? So if you say something, that's why if I ever, you know, if I ever became a star or anything like that, I would not do
You're a star
interviews.
to
I'd
us,
run
Ian.
away. I'd run away from all that stuff. Don't want anyone to know what I do in my private
Question
life.
for the panel: Chris Pratt, is he a Pratt?
He's not. He's
He's
an
not, is he?
actor. That's it. End of story. Leave him alone.
I mean,
What is wrong with everybody?
The only thing I didn't care for is, he's a bit of a cheater. That's the thing I don't respect him for, But I think that his personal political views and his religious views should not be held against him as long as he's not using it to weaponize against someone else. I think everybody has the right or the freedom to religion and the freedom to their political party, affiliation in this country. And that's none of anyone's say. So if he's not being hateful, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, Jonathan Frost, the voice of reason, as a physically handicapped person with an anxiety disorder, using one's disabilities really pisses me off. My issues aren't to be paraded all over the internet. Well said, mate.
It's true. I mean, like
Just a
I was
fucking
on
badge of honor, isn't it?
Instagram today, and I know people that actually following me who I really don't know. I know them on Instagram, but I know every minute of what they're doing. I don't want to know every minute of what they're doing, and they shouldn't allow us to know what they're doing for every minute of what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Why would I need to know about their life?
Not Brian Young in the chat. I don't trust Gates, Musk, or Bezos. At least the Illuminati space lizards you knew where were you stood. I didn't say that right, but you get the gist. Anyway, okay. So, moving on. This one's for Ian. Here we go. This is Ian's specialist subject. I know he's very fond of this. Obviously, it's Dr. Pooh news.
They cast Amber Heard.
No. I wish they did, actually. That would be hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
The first story on the... We'll do these two together because they're basically connected. She's only got one more episode to go. Thank Fook. Legend of the
Sea Devils.
I thought it said she devils, but I was going to say some kind of him type devils. Consolidated ratings were 3.3 mil.
No, it wasn't.
Down 1 million.
I'm surprised it was that high.
No, it was less, but they're playing it up. They're putting other factors into it to make it up to 3 million.
I do believe Ian watched it about 5,000
Oh
times.
God, I did not watch this shit. No, I never watched Jodie. The first season was not for me.
I was out after season 1. I tried very hard to put my own personal fears aside, and you know what? Let's give her a chance. Maybe it's not so bad, and it was worse than I even thought it would be. So
it is. I mean, it's the BBC will not admit that this show is a failure. Doctor Who's a failure because they've cast a female as the Doctor. They will not admit it.
It's not just that. It's because they casted a female and then they made it a point of throwing it in your face that it's a female. Not just that, but insisting on, I think the Sea Devils is the episode where she was quote unquote a pansexual and, fell in love with one of her female. That's what everybody's saying is she wanted to admit to her female companion that she was in love with her and stuff. So they had to tick all the boxes. So because of all of that being thrown in your face,
the boxes more like.
But because of throwing that stuff in your face 24/7, you lose everything that made Doctor Who an enjoyable show. Yeah, it had its adult moments and it could be really scary because of some of the stuff that happened. But, it was typically a very fun-loving show, and you take all the fun out of it. What's the point of watching Doctor Who? Doctor Who does not have any powers aside from the power to regenerate. And their weapon is a sonic screwdriver. So basically, he or she's a hero that uses their brain to get out of situations or to save the world or to save a certain, group of people or the universe or whatever. And they just gave the doctor not much of a good brain. So
in the chat, are there any photos of Jodie where her mouth is not gaping?
Well,
No.
that one.
I was going to
the
say,
mouth's
I
not
challenge
gaping.
you to find one.
The thing about Doctor Who is it doesn't work because look, this could have worked spectacularly.
Hello, Darius.
It could, the female Doctor Who could have worked spectacularly if they treated her like a female, if they made her sexy, if they gave her a good costume, if they cast the right actress to play her, if they focused that she was a woman, if they did all that, but they didn't. What they did was they basically cast someone that wasn't right, that didn't study the background of the Doctor. That railed on men every second of every moment in every episode.
Oh yes,
and they basically, took the road down the she, he, they, them, whatever road to try and please them when the real fans have been excluded from their favourite show. They are guilty of that, and also it doesn't work, and the BBC will not admit that this version of Doctor Who has failed abysmally.
What does the TARDIS? What does the TARDIS identify as these days? Because it used to be referred to as a she, didn't it?
Yeah, it's because it's always been referred to as. I think it's always been referred to as she. Actually, a few times
now.
Yeah. I think it's a
they,
she,
them,
he,
yeah,
she, her, whether it is. I don't know.
But I just have a question for you, Ian. Do you think Davies can actually fix this shit? Because I really don't, and I don't think he's going to. That's just my personal opinion.
I always hope and wish for the best on anything and everything, right? And Doctor Who's no exception. I hope that that RT will have common sense will take over, and he will cast a male and a good actor that will talk to the Americans and the international market, which is the
James
UK.
Corden, then yes.
No, well, James
gross!
Corden
if he really is the best Doctor Who, you can count me out on that.
On the right, by the way.
No, he's look. This is just this is rubbish. He's not going to be the next Doctor, and I'd be surprised if he was. But as I said, he could make it good. But the only thing that worries me, and no disrespect to Lost Chord, anything like that. The only thing that worries me is his sexuality might play too much into this version of the Doctor.
Because
I don't say that in this being. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No.
All I'm saying is that Doctor Who now should be treated as a Doctor Who series. And yes, he did creep in lots of stuff when he was in charge of Doctor Who, which wasn't too bad, tell you the truth. It wasn't too bad. But now, the world we live in now, and this stuff is far more exaggerated. I just hope that he doesn't plan to go down that road. I hope he hits the middle and sticks to the plan of making the show enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Or is it Matt one in the chat? You guys can have Corden back. He's so irritating. Good riddance.
Right?
Why is he quit? Did the ratings go down in the show or something?
I guess. I think, I personally think he used to seem like a nice guy. He used to seem kind of funny, and then it's like, oh, he's just a douche.
He's a talented... Well, no, to be fair, he's a talented lad.
Well, he was.
No, he is. He is.
I wonder if he's coming back to do... what was that program he used to do? I know the one you mean. Yeah,
Space, that one there.
Yeah, I wonder if he's coming back to do that because they did a Christmas special, didn't they? And they had a blast. Yeah. So, and to be fair, he doesn't need to work now. He's probably got that much money. He can just do what he wants now.
Yeah, it's true. I don't mind him. I think it comes across as a nice guy. I mean, nobody really knows people.
I think he's all right.
Yeah, he hasn't been too offensive, is he?
He's not offensive.
No.
He upset Patrick Stewart, which is a point in his favour.
What did he say?
Patrick Stewart had a go at him. He was giving an award out, and Patrick Stewart got up and he I can't remember what he was complaining about, but on stage in front of the audience, he basically slagged off his presentation skills.
That's not
That was years ago, wasn't it?
Accused him of being disrespectful and all of that because Patrick Stewart has an ego the size of Mars.
Okay, right. I will freely admit then I'm wrong, and I've been told. Not
Someone
Brian,
clip it.
Zero talent, obnoxious, arrogant ball bag of a man. There you go, folks.
But you know, Patrick Stewart, you know the story when he first started doing Star Trek, don't you?
Patrick Stewart was spot on, yes.
Hey, guys.
Which is he took everything seriously, and all the people that were in the cast was going, "You're taking this too seriously." He was really angry when people didn't turn up on time. He took everything seriously. He thought everybody was mucking around. You must have heard this story, right? And
then one day he realized
living out of a suitcase as well.
Yeah, and one day he realized that you can have fun on set, because he was so much into the rules of being on a set and stuff like that. Everybody thought he was a twat. And then
there's some people that
do
stuff by the book. Maybe that was who he was for the time being.
Yeah. Okay, so we are saying Corden is not the new Doctor.
I don't think he is.
I would hope not. He's basically like the British version of, or he wants to be like Chris Farley, like the funny fat guy.
Yeah.
And seriously, that's what he is to me. And I'm just like, you were kind of funny at first, and now you're just,
right.
He's
There you go.
He was in Doctor Who, wasn't he?
He was in Doctor Who. He was, yes.
Yeah. He was in like 2 or 3. Yeah.
Hammer blow comment from Not Brian. I like Ryan Johnson more than James Corden.
That's saying a lot.
Wow. I think on that hammer blow, I think we need to move on from that. Oh, right. So, Matt Reeves, Batman getting a sequel, that was announced. Ooh. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Okay, so...
hold on. What happened to Batman? What happened to Batman? So, he's getting a sequel, so what's the question?
How do you feel about the sequel? Because you particularly don't like this version.
No,
of
I
Batman,
don't.
do you, Ian?
No, I don't. But you
can see the message and the deconstruction of him, can't you?
I can, but I do know the Lord kind of thought
Short
it was okay.
As well, yeah.
He thought it was okay because I listened to his review. He said it was okay.
Yes and no.
I mean, I know. Yeah.
The more you think about this film, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
See, that's what people keep saying, and I'm so glad I didn't watch it. I'll be real honest. I couldn't stand the way that Robert Pattinson looked in the bat suit, and I'm like, if you don't look good in the mask, you don't look good in the suit, you can't be Batman to me. I don't give a shit what Bruce Wayne's storyline is. I don't care. You can't have someone who is good at one side or the other and not both. And you can say anything you like about Christian Bale's Bat voice. He was still a better Batman, and he was still a better Bruce Wayne, in my opinion. I think that, sometimes people try to do the unpopular thing for like the whole shock and awe. I really think that's what Matt Reeves did. And, it's like, see, Robert Pattinson's actually a good actor. So he was actually a good Bruce Wayne. Well, that's your opinion, but I don't agree with that.
No,
he wasn't a good Bruce Wayne. He didn't do anything to be Bruce Wayne at all. He did nothing.
Bruce Wayne doesn't exist in this film, really.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got so one-dimensional. I mean, we did a couple of videos. So the premise of mine was basically because my colleague on our channel said he did a video saying it was a complete disaster and it got a lot of pushback. And so I thought, well, okay, I will make myself sit down and watch this 3-hour thing, I'll see if he was right about it. And the conclusion was essentially it was probably a bit strong to say it was a complete disaster, but that's not to say that it was as good as its fanboys say. I would give it a solid 4 out of 10, maybe, in terms of the production quality, the setting, some of the action, and the plot up until the last third. That's enough to give it a 4. But Bruce Wayne doesn't exist. I know the point of this film is that Bruce Wayne it's not taking the same line as the Nolan films did. He's not in the same position in life. He's not in the same arc that he's in the Nolan films, which is all fair enough. It's a different iteration of Batman. But the problem is that a lot of what happens later on in the film requires Bruce to have a character of his own. Like when certain important people get exploded, for example, not giving too much away, you don't give a damn about it because he hasn't got a character to have a relationship with them. So it actually brings the rest of the film down. He is a one-dimensional mopey emo, and his Batman is not enough to salvage that.
His Batman is exactly like the Bruce Wayne character. The Batman is non-existent. He basically talks to Catwoman. He hardly does anything. He beats up street thugs, but that's about it. He didn't, as I said in my other thing, he didn't capture the Riddler. Riddler gave himself up. Nothing he does is of any worth in this film, as far as I can tell. So it's like, well, what's the point?
Brian
then?
In the chat, the Batman was duller than a James Corden monologue. Melvin, Christian Bale was best, and imagine thinking Affleck could follow that. I'm still bewildered.
But the whole point,
Affleck was
right?
Okay, I thought
the Batman's supposed to be an enjoyable romp. It could be dark. I mean, it could still be fun as a dark version of Batman, but this wasn't. It wasn't. Sorry, it was just a waste of my time.
Criticize Ben Affleck all you want, but I think he did the best with the scripts that he had. And dude was committed AF.
Yes.
Pattinson refuses to work on his physicality for any role. And Affleck beefed up so hard. I mean, he got
banging
massive.
Zoe, what's her name, on the Batmobile, but
he got massive. And he did the best with the script that he had. And unfortunately, I think, like, as much as I like Zack Snyder, his version of Watchmen was amazing.
Yeah, I thought so.
I love the graphic novel, aka the comics for Watchmen, and he did a really great job compared to what it could have been.
Yep.
But I just think he doesn't know how to write for Superman, and I think that's what kind of hurt Batman versus Superman. Now the director's cut is better, and I like the Snyder cut of the Justice League. But Ben Affleck did as great as he could for what he had to work with, and he was committed. He was
Ben
committed.
Affleck did his job.
Yeah.
Right. He's not responsible for the terrible scripts. He's not responsible for some of the bad effects that was in that film. He's not responsible for any of that stuff. He's hired as an actor to do the best he can, and under the circumstances, and that's what he did. You can't take that away from him. But Ben Affleck is a good actor. Yes, he might have problems in his real life, but that should not be included in what he does on screen. The thing that spoiled Superman, the Man of Steel, and Superman versus Batman, and the whole saga of Justice League was the writing. Was Zack's total disregard for what was precious in those characters. He totally disregarded it. And that's where we went wrong.
I just
yes, he did. Superman is the man that basically is light. Batman is the man that's dark, right? And they both fight for good. And he disrespected that. He made Superman dark. He made Batman. I don't know what he made Batman, but Superman is not meant to be dark.
I don't think he knew how to write Superman, and I think he was trying to bring, because the DC Batman comics are really dark, and he tried to just make, since Marvel was light, I think what he was trying to do is make DC dark, so there would be a difference, and you wouldn't have the same thing like with what Joss Whedon tried to do for the Justice League. Zack Snyder tried to go opposite.
Bridget Moore in the chat, hello Bridget, just got in from watching the new Downton Abbey movie. Was a lot better than the Batman.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt
it. In the chat, the Batman same here, mate. The Batman I grew up with is not the same anymore. Biff, pow, then dance.
The dance, yeah. Have you seen the trailer where they replaced Patterson with Adam West?
Yeah, it was okay.
Adam West
Batman. Too cute.
Yeah, it was quite fun.
It was disturbing how the guys didn't get the 60s version, but there you go. I think that was that the Corridor Crew? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Corridor Crew. I like the Corridor Crew. They're quite fun.
Some good stuff on there, yeah. Okay. So I don't know when this is out, but I couldn't be bothered.
On the writing point, they're really going to struggle with the sequel because they've already stolen word for word from 7 and they can't do that again. So where are they going to get their ideas from if they can't nick from a much shorter and much better film?
Well, the next I heard that the next installment of Batman is him disregarding his heritage and white privilege. No, I'm joking,
Yeah.
obviously, but that's what I suspect. But anyway, we'll see, right? We'll see. I probably won't watch the second one. I'm just fed up with
I
films
don't think I'm
in
bothered
general
watching
today.
this one at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I shall be saving my money.
I had the intentions to go see it, but I just can't be asked. Anyway, okay, moving on. Okay, this week all the I think was it CineCon I think it was Vegas. I may be wrong. All the Walt Disney stuff was showcased. I think they
Does
what I'm
anybody
not
watch
interested in.
like modern Disney stuff anymore? Does it
No, I
attract an
don't.
audience
Well, it
much?
does.
the kind of big news from this was Avatar, the Way of Water
No.
footage.
What's that?
James Cameron.
So
He's
James
been working
Cameron
on that for like what, 15
This
years?
coming out this Christmas.
Well, the Avatar film.
Yeah,
the
because
second
Disney
one.
inherited Avatar because of the Fox.
The problem with
So-
that is he waited too many years. Like he
Yeah.
kept saying, I'm going to make a sequel. I'm going to make a sequel. I'm going to make a sequel. And he filmed all this stuff in like the deep trenches of the ocean and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now nobody cares anymore. I didn't really think Avatar was that great of a movie. I mean,
Absolutely
it was cool
not.
because of the effects
was
and
okay.
visuals,
It
but
was
that
okay.
was it.
Yeah, the reason it was okay. The reason why I went to see it was because the 3D was bloody amazing, especially
In
when you saw
IMAX, it was incredible.
Yeah, the IMAX and
Yeah.
3D. It was absolutely amazing. But the
did you
film
like
itself,
the storyline?
no, the film
Yeah, it was
itself was just
awful.
dull. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
It's the definition of a pretty shit film. It is both pretty and shit.
Well
Yeah.
said, Lost Chord.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it had something for everybody. It had for the
The
males.
shit
It had
or
all
the pretty?
What is
Well-
Booze? Was it Bob's Burgers movie? What's that?
Oh, I'm going to watch that probably. That's based on the show Bob's Burgers. You guys don't watch it? It's so funny.
No.
Okay, well,
It's like a cartoon on Fox.
Oh, is it?
And
Okay.
like, so it's about this family that owns like this like burger joint, and
Is it vegan burgers?
luckily not. So it's all good, and not a whole lot of bicycling in it either. But
Bugger.
it's this really funny show. It comes on after The Simpsons. I have been forgetting to keep up with it, but yeah, it's about a family that owns a burger shop. They live in an apartment above it, and one of the daughters and the wife are both voiced by men, which is weird, but you get used to it. And I don't know, there's a lot of really, really good humor in it. And so
That shouldn't
far,
be allowed. Should it not?
this show's
women
been
being
going on
voiced
for
by
years.
men.
The guy that does the voice, yeah.
They got rid of the guy who did
Correct.
Apu in Simpsons because he wasn't Asian.
Yeah,
So
I know.
what the F? What's all I can say?
I don't know. Bob's Burgers has been going on for years, and luckily nobody's complained about it. But the guy that does the voice of Bob is the same guy that voices Archer. So if anybody here likes Archer, I think you'll like Bob's Burgers. It's what is it? H. John Benjamin or something? I think his name is.
In the chat, Bob's Burgers is quite funny, but the movie will make it wokey, no doubt.
Yeah, that's kind of my fear, and I really hope not. But you hope because the show is funny, the movie will be funny, but you never know.
Then the mighty Ploxord says, I was into the Avatar film for the Wayne Douglas Barlow creatures.
What?
Did he
Don't know what that means.
design the Smurf people?
Don't know.
It did
Probably.
look fantastic.
Well, let's go through this list here. I'll tell you what's going to be woke. Buzz Lightyear is going to be woke.
Name
I was
one
going to
that
say
isn't.
every single one.
No, one of them might not be. Let's have a look. Buzz Lightyear is going to be
Tell you what,
woke.
I'll go full screen.
Doctor
save me.
Strange is going to be like woke. Thor is going to be woke. Avatar, I don't know. Bob's Burgers, I don't know. Was it the Banshee of what? What's that say? What's that say at the bottom? The Banshee of the what? I can't read it because my eyes
Can't read it either.
From where I am, it's in Ishibin, but I'm also.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
I was about to say Amstrad.
Starring Alan
I don't even
Sugar.
know what that is. Avatar, I
Amsterdam.
don't know. Oh, definitely woke. Wakanda Forever is definitely going to be
God.
woke.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's going to be
definitely gonna be
insufferable.
Anything
Um,
MCU.
I think Quantum Mania and the Marvels is getting swapped around because I think they know the Brie Larson stuff with the Marvels.
Well, that's why it's the Marvels in the first place, because it was going to be Captain Marvel 2, and everybody hates Captain Marvel.
Apparently.
Yeah, and they decided that the best way to make everyone like Captain Marvel was to have less of her. So there's going to be lots more Marvels, including Ms. Marvel, which isn't going to improve anything.
No.
I heard that she beats the villains at the end by taking her boots off and her socks. So that's how she beats
the toe clippers out. In the chat, the Disney Board of Movies is like a crappy box of chocks where they are all shite and you struggle to pick one out of politeness. So it's almost like they're all coffee creams.
I like coffee creams.
I do as well, but
I don't like
the
toffee one, the circle toffee one in what is it in Quality Street. That just gets stuck in your teeth every time. Every time.
Can we just take
the Banshees
a moment?
Inishirin,
yeah.
Thank you, Blocksword.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the extent of the fall of what was once such an iconic franchise? That there's an Indiana Jones thing listed on that. And it doesn't immediately jump out at all. Once upon a time, I'm just about old enough to remember when the news of a new Indiana Jones film would have been amazing. Yeah. But now they've shoved it off to the side, and I look at that and I think, oh God, please not again.
Yeah, so, it finished at 3. It finished at Crusade, as far as I'm concerned. The other one and this one is not part of that world, in my opinion. So there you go. Yeah.
So obviously on that list, 2022, first one is out next week, and that's Doctor Strange. Literally in 4 or 5 days.
It does look stupid though, Doctor Strange. I might go and see it. I try to pick my films very carefully now in the cinema, and that's really sad.
See, I think the first one was okay, even with swapping the ancient one for a woman. It wasn't that bad, but then when you add it all up on top of everything else that Marvel's done, it's like, oh, I don't know,
Yeah. I don't want to see Thor because that looks woke as hell.
Yeah, no thanks. Don't give a shit that Natalie Portman beefed up on steroids.
I know.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 might be good. I haven't heard anything from that.
That's not been made yet.
I was going to say it depends. If James Gunn is involved, yes. If not,
he's involved.
He's involved. Yeah,
he's involved.
Yeah, but for the time, it hasn't started yet.
No, it started. I think it started.
Pre-production is underway, but they've not started shooting yet.
Yeah, but also, that's my fear.
The Little Mermaid is
it'll be good,
so
Guardians, trust
that's
me.
going to be rubbish. The Little Mermaid, because it's
Disney
not the Little Mermaid, is it?
No, I will say a lot of people are throwing fits over like the gingerness of the Little Mermaid, but I want to say the original story, she was actually blonde. So, and it's a very sad story. She dies, but
haven't they cast an Hispanic actress as the Little Mermaid in this?
Yeah, they have.
See, Bridget Moore, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'll go see the rest. Sorry, I'll go see rest of the list. I'm not fussed about. I think he's basically going to see Guardians of the Galaxy. And the rest of them I think.
What's Strange World? Strange World? I don't know what that is.
I think Guardians will be good because what with everything going on at Disney at the moment, they can't afford to have a dud.
Do you know what's killing it though? What's killing it is the distance between each sequel. Like if you went back in time, so you look at the Bond films, I think the longest it's ever been off screen Bond was 4 years with Timothy Dalton, I think, when they were having trouble with the money.
Yes.
But that's what's killing these sequels and stuff. The longer the distance, the more people will be disinterested in
the leads are getting too old as well. So not getting,
exactly.
Not getting many films out of them. Okay, so
what's the menu? Anyone?
Well, it's something what they put in a restaurant, and then if you want to go into it, you look
how small that little guy is.
Talk to the waiter about it, or the hostess.
Just what's on the menu?
So, I think this week, as I said, 4 days. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Wokeness, perhaps.
We'll
Who
see.
knows?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's MCU. I say yes.
I'm looking forward to the Jurassic Park
The
movie
menu.
because of the old cast. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I'm quite interested to see how that's going to work out. But then again, I don't really hold a lot of hope anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so more superhero stuff. Fantastic Four in trouble.
Feige has just announced Fantastic Four project release date will be delayed
But just
later in
The
Phase
director's
5
walked away, hasn't he? I forget the
and
name
replacing it Shang-Chi 2. Shang-Chi 2, I haven't seen Shang-Chi 1. I used to
No.
call it Shang-Chi when I was a kid.
But honestly, does anybody care about Fantastic Four anymore? I mean, they botched it up with the previous tries. I mean, like, I just don't think they have the capacity to get it right.
Look, you know what, right? They're not doing what they should be doing. The next one after everything, and I do mean everything, should have been Fantastic Four. We should not have had these TV shows. We should not have had these movies, Doctor Strange 2, none of that stuff.
Well,
they should have just concentrated on Fantastic Four.
Ian,
Because that's the only, let me finish. That is the only, thing they've got left in the Marvel universe that has not been tainted, that has not been done properly. So this is the thing they should be concentrating 100% on to try and get it out.
Because I was going to say, why is the Fantastic Four the one, the kind of, it seems to me, I don't know, like, really much about the comic stuff like you guys do. But Fantastic Four just keeps cropping up all the time. Why is Fantastic Four so important, Ian?
But Fantastic Four is important because it's the last heroes or group that's left in the DC universe that has not been made officially by Marvel properly. I mean, the others was 20th Century Fox and I can't remember. What's his name? But all the heroes that people liked in my generation, like Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, stuff like that, they've all gone now, or they're all on their way out. The only one that's left is the Fantastic Four from that era. And that's what they should be concentrating on, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry,
for me, looking at it from a comic sense, they work closely sometimes with the Avengers and with the X-Men.
Yes, they do.
So it's a great way to tie everything in together. I just don't have faith in anyone to get them right.
Nor do I.
Because I want to say it was Fantastic Four that released Phoenix from the ocean and helped to create the Dark Phoenix saga.
Yes.
So it's a really important part of the X-Men story and the Avengers. And so I just don't see them getting it right. How many times can you screw up, the Thing and, Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic? I mean, you had, what was his name? The guy that first played Mr. Fantastic in the movies?
The British guy. I can't remember his name.
Is it Owen? Yeah.
Griffiths or something
Ewan Griffiths. His name
it's very hard to say his name because it's not said how it's spelled.
Yeah, we're British and we can't say it.
But, he was a great candidate for Mr. Fantastic, and he had the capacity to bring that role, or to bring a lot of goodness to that role. They just had such horrible writing and horrible effects and direction. It just didn't bode well. And he was the perfect man to play him. He was a good Reed Richards if he had the chance to be a good Reed Richards.
Grufford.
Ewan Griffin. Ewan.
Thank you,
but you know what, right? They should just concentrate on story now for Fantastic Four. I think one of their main, obviously Doctor Doom is one of their main villains, but also Galactus was the person that they fought against. I mean,
we didn't see him, did we?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. Not in the.
We didn't have the budget.
Oh no, you don't want to. You don't want a Galactus with Marvel running it. You just are MCU. You just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be awful. It'll probably be like a poor man's Steppenwolf, I think is what they're going to do with him. Like the DCEU version of Steppenwolf. That's what they're going to do to Galactus.
But what they should do, right, is they should make the Fantastic Four try to make it as close to the comics as possible. None of this race swapping. None of this Sue Storm being the head of Fantastic Four, because that's probably what they're going to do. No male is weak in this. They're all equal. That's what it should, because that's what the comics was. And the Thing was as funny as hell in the comics. The Thing was that every time I read that comic, one of the reasons why I read Fantastic Four was because of the Thing. You always used to make me laugh.
Yes, he was like the comic relief when things would get too intense, or after they had a really big fight. It's like, oh, dude, he just said something crazy.
Yeah,
but you forget how powerful Dr. Doom is too.
Yep.
I want to say he was able to wield the Infinity Gauntlet, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
He was extremely powerful, and
but he was
turned
clever
into
too.
a bitch in the movie.
Yeah, he did. But he was just as intelligent as Mr. Fantastic. And And Mr. Fantastic, I always imagined Paul Newman playing Mr. Fantastic when I was a kid. I was like, Paul Newman would be perfect as Mr. Fantastic. But
Bridget Moore in the chat, Fantastic Four was a great family. I hope they do it right. Well, we've not done it right yet. Third time's a charm. Okay, so I think that was the director of the recent Spider-Man who's left the project.
I don't blame him.
What did we say, Ian? We think because he said, I forget his name, I do apologise.
You're talking Matt Raimi here?
No, the guy directed the last Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. He says he's left because he's exhausted, but we all know why, don't we?
Yeah, we know why he's left.
Woke as fuck.
Well, we know why. Who's the guy who directed Trainspotting when he was meant to direct a James Bond film?
Boyle.
Danny Boyle left. We know why he left, because he didn't want them to kill off Bond.
Don't get me started, mate.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. I think we should cover that at some point.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be good for our recovery. Anyway.
Recovery.
Okay, so just quickly going back to the Disney stuff. This is out this week. Lots of kind of final trailers are being shown at the moment on the YouTube. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I'm hoping it's going to be good. I'm hoping the reshoots have worked. Who's going to go see this? Anybody?
I'll give it a go, right? But I'm still worried about that poster. You still got Wanda prevalent in that poster, really. I mean, there's loads of guest stars in this. I heard you got Professor X is in this apparently. Who else is it? Captain America
or Patrick Stewart.
We'll find out.
We'll find Patrick Stewart's voice in one of the trailers.
Yeah. So I know Captain America's shield appears in one trailer, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's multi-universe and it's different.
That's the what if Captain America. Isn't it?
Well, and there's a rumor that Tom Cruise is going to be Iron Man in a different universe as well. So that if they do that, that'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure that that's what they're trying to do because of the success of Spider-Man. They want to capitalize as much as they can on that kind of tone for the story, don't they? So I wouldn't be surprised if I went there and saw Tom Cruise in an Iron Man suit.
It's very interesting.
It's a shame the way that the X-Men fell like the way that it did, or the way that Marvel or Disney bought Marvel, because if they had done it right, it would have been great to see or to know the fact that Magneto was Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's dad. And the shameful part is we got 2 Quicksilvers out of it, and sadly the better one was in the X-Men movies. And they still didn't acknowledge that Magneto was his father. But the
20th Century Fox, innit, owned it.
And I just think it's a shame because that would have brought so much. Magneto being a villain would have brought so much to this universe, and unfortunately Ian McKellen's too old for it. And I'm sorry, I didn't think what's his face, Michael Fassbender was half as good as Ian McKellen as Magneto. You're
absolutely right there. That's what I thought as well. I didn't like what's his Matthew Vaughn's version of X-Men.
Really? No, I didn't either.
Wow. I didn't like it. I thought it was okay. I just missed Patrick Stewart, and
it just didn't feel the same. It didn't fit the same. And I'm sorry, as much as they tried, McAvoy and Fassbender have nothing on McKellen and Stewart. They just didn't.
Days of Future Past was really good though.
Now that was good, and I did like Professor X meeting himself, in his own mind, so to speak, or on the astral plane. And I thought that was amazing. And that was a great moment. But that still doesn't make McAvoy a great Professor X.
No, he's too, even though he's an adult, and he still comes across as boyish for some reason.
Like Lord Chord.
Very boyish.
So this one, I think I've said it in one of our previous streams here. I mean, much more than Thor, this is the film that the next phase really kind of hinges on. If this bombs,
Correct.
because this is much more important to the whatever they are doing, whatever passes for the meta through arc or the overarching storyline. It's the one, going back to the questions of Fantastic Four and the X-Men, this is the obvious way you introduce them, or at least some other characters, because you've got the whole setup of the film allows for that to happen. And unlike Thor, which is very much a side story, he's not intimately involved in anything of any importance except his own arc. This is the one that really should be used to kick off whatever happens next in the MCU.
Yeah, this is
There's
the one,
just
isn't it?
no evidence that they actually have any ideas to do that, though. So if this bombs and Thor bombs, then it's basically done. I think. It'll still draw people in, but it's not going to be the cultural phenomenon that it was in the 2000s.
Melvin deeply in the chat. Both cuts of Days of Future Past were good. Correct.
Yeah, I agree, but the Rogue cut was a little bit better for me.
Yeah,
I liked seeing Rogue being able to control her powers, which in the comics she eventually gets to do.
She suck someone's powers, Rogue, doesn't she? Who was it? I can't remember.
She Kitty Pryde's in the movie.
But in the comics, she got her powers from
it's
Marvel.
Not Ms. Marvel. Is it Ms. Marvel where she actually holds on until she dies, and then she gets
all her
power
powers.
of flight, from her and all that stuff, which is really cool. And she's so strong. Yeah. And then she finally gets to the point where she matures and she learns how to control it, and it's amazing. And in the comics, Mystique is her adopted mother.
That's right.
And you don't get that in the X-Men movies, and it's a shame. It's a really cool aspect.
These guys know their shit, boys and girls. Okay. I will just say, I'm kind of thinking Days of Future Past, we should probably cover that at some point.
Road cut, yes.
Lots of love in the chat. I think everybody likes it.
Didn't like it at all, but hey, such is life. It was all right. I just missed Patrick Stewart, and I just missed that whole concept of. I just missed it, because I really liked. I didn't like the third one, but I liked the first two X-Men. It was great.
X2 was my favorite.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so moving on, we will quickly go through what's been on TV this week.
Yep, Barry, freaking amazing first episode.
Okay, so we've waited 2 years, nearly 3 years for this season 3. Barry, who's watched it?
Me.
Thoughts?
I loved it. Well directed, well shot, well performed. Kept you on the edge of your seat. What can I say? It's such a great show so far. Anyway, I hope it doesn't go woke.
And for the folks who haven't seen it, what is the main? What's the main kind of story about Barry? What is Barry?
So Barry is a hitman, and basically he's on a job. And he follows his mark into a theatre, and it's a theatre where it's an acting class, and he gets mistaken for being one of the students. He gets called up on stage. He does a little bit of a stint. Yeah, he does a little stint on stage and realizes that he wants to be an actor. So that's the premise. And then everything goes to shit from that point on. And so that is basically the premise of Barry. And it's about how he tackles what he's doing and how he's trying to get out of what he's known for, but tries to be an actor. That's basically the premise.
I would like to thank Princess Rennie for coming on. Thank you, Rennie.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Brown. I'm sorry.
Laundry awaits.
Yes, laundry awaits. You sometimes forget when you have a lot going on in life that you still have stuff that you have to do.
Remember to use Persil and the softener. Remember to use the softener. That always works too.
Definitely will, guys. Thanks for putting up with me. I know it's awfully chatty.
See you later. Ta-da.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye. Okay, so as we said, this is episode 1, season 3. It's on HBO Max. 30-minute episodes, which is great. Although I would have kind of liked these to be about 40 minutes because you just want more, don't you, Ian?
Oh God, no. Well, you know what? No, I think it's a perfect length. I know Lost Chord hasn't seen. You haven't seen this. I'm assuming you haven't seen this, right?
No, I haven't.
You need to watch it.
Right.
It's fantastic.
So don't take my word for it. If you get a chance to watch season 1, watch it. You will not regret it. It's it's a really good show, and I don't say this lightly. It makes you laugh, and then it kind of takes you in another direction, and then it shows you something horrific, and then, do you know what I mean? So because of the nature of his job, or his job that he's trying to get out of. So Bill Hayden is he used to be on Saturday Night Live. Am I right in saying that? He's been Saturday Night Live, so he's a comedian, and he wrote it together with his friend. And this episode was so well directed. It was absolutely freaking awesome direction, and he directed it. I can't believe it. There's a scene in it where I'm not going to give too much away, where his girlfriend
spoilers
is doing this show or pilot, and she walks, and it's just one continuous shot where she's walking through different studios and stuff, and people are asking her questions like, what color is this? Do you want this? Do you want that? And there's this one bit where she comes out.
So Hollywood.
She comes out the studio, and it's all dark, and then the red light shines behind her, which basically says that she's in trouble. And then she carries on, and the unbroken cut still carries on. It's really well directed, absolutely freakingly fucking directed brilliantly, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to be watching this. I'm praying to God that it doesn't go woke. That's what I'm praying. So,
I still think it's kind of laughing at the woke stuff.
With Hank.
It was the Mega Geek who recommended this to me a couple of years ago, and I basically just binged it in 2 days. It was that good. So I would just say to everybody, if you've not watched Barry, it is fantastic. You will not be disappointed. So all I can say is, guys, check Barry out. 3 seasons. Sorry, we're on the 3rd season.
Yeah, third season.
I think there's about 8 or 10 episodes per season, 30 minutes. So it's bite size, it's compact, very well written.
It's got Henry Winkler in it, man.
It's got Fonz. What more do you want? It's got Fonz in it.
And he's brilliant in it as well.
He won, I think he won. Did he win awards?
He won,
for it?
He won
Was it the
Golden Globe? Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was Golden Globe. He won the Golden Globe for playing Mr. Cusack.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. Cusack, absolutely brilliant.
I can't recommend it enough, guys. Moving on then.
Better Call Saul.
Final
season.
I'm the only one who's seen this episode. Brian would have, obviously, if it was on.
I need to watch the final episode. I haven't had a chance yet, but I will watch it though. It's on Netflix.
I don't want to spoil anything, guys. I won't. I'll just say this episode, fucking hell, it was awesome. The ending is just typical Breaking Bad style ending. You don't think it's going to happen, but it does. And we're in the final season. 10 episodes. I think we've had 3. It's just worth it for Gustavo Fring and Mike Ehrmantraut.
Mike Ehrmantraut.
Is it Ehrmantraut?
It's
Mike
Ehrmantraut.
Oh, God, it's so good. Guys, get up to speed. Better Call Saul. First 2 seasons, okay. 3rd season lost its way. And then 4, 5, excellence. Then this season, fucking wow. And here we go. Thank you, Melvin. That is a pleasure to hear. Episode 4 of Saul is on tomorrow, Monday. Oh, literally, that is the first thing I do when I awake the following day. Better Call Saul is fantastic.
So it is a good show. I said I haven't seen the latest season, but I'm going to have to make the effort to.
This episode was a monster episode, folks. So okay, so
This is episode 1 of season 3. Yeah, you're talking about.
This was episode 3
of season 3. No, season
of season. I think it's season 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
So season 6, episode 4 drops tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
This was also on this week. Where's Z when you need him? Superman and Lois with the Bizarro storylines.
What happened to his underpants?
I think they're in the wash. I think Rennie's washing them. This was the Bizarro verse, the kind of mirror universe, effectively, of Superman.
Was Star Trek the first one to do the mirror universe thing? Star Trek.
Yeah, probably. And that was in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, I know, is it Batwoman has been cancelled this week, hasn't it?
Thank God.
I think we should have a moment of silence.
What's the other one? There's another one that's been cancelled as well, isn't there? Another CW one. Is it Legends of Tomorrow? Something?
Oh, has it?
Yeah, that's gone as well.
I don't like that show.
Apparently, somebody started a GoFundMe for
I saw this.
Batwoman. It's not raised a lot of money, to be fair.
Hasn't it?
No.
Damn it.
It's raised about $1,000, I think, which, given the budget of that show, is not going to go very far. It's a real shame. It's guaranteed entertainment.
Yeah, here you go, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan. I watched the whole season on Mr. Brown's recommendation. Yeah, it's good for a Superman lore. Season 2's even better, mate. We were all worried that it was going to go woke, but it's just got better and better. It's just got better and better.
I should take a look at it one day.
I kind of think they're getting rid of the CW is obviously up for sale. They're obviously getting rid of the dross and concentrating on something that's really good.
Yeah, but why are they for sale? I wonder.
I think the network is up for sale, isn't it? CW. It's a joint venture between. Is it CBS and Warner's?
Yeah.
They want to sell it on, and my theory is Superman and Lois is the jewel in the crown, and they knew they had to make it good as a viable, proposition to sell. Even though I think HBO Max has put a lot of the money behind this, but this week's episode, fucking very well written, just great. And it's just getting better and better. Bishop Moore in the chat. Bye, Batwoman. Never seen an episode.
Brilliant.
You could do BI Batwoman, but that's another stream. Okay, so best program you're not watching, boys and girls. So we'll move on from that.
What, Batwoman?
No.
I agree. No one is watching Batwoman.
We recommend this every week. Tokyo Vice. I've not seen this week's episode, but again, this is old school television. Great writing, no woke. Just a delight to watch. We've had, 4 programs now in a row that are just back to the good old days, boys and girls, back to the good old days of decent television. So, ironically, HBO Max behind this as well. So,
what era would you say we had great TV? You guys, what do you reckon?
Shall we throw that out to the chat as well, guys? In the chat, what to you is a great era of TV? So, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, the teens. Mega Geek will probably say from the 30s, 1930s. Is that old?
I love the 70s and the 80s personally. But yeah, I would not say that.
Lost. What do you think? Good era of TV.
I'm honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I'm struggling to find. I guess you'd have to go back to the 80s to find the last sort of slate of really iconic shows. There were good, moments in the 90s. Obviously, you had the debut of Sky at that point as well. So you had this vastly expanded reach of channels, and then I grew up with Cartoon Network and Pokemon, and then Robot Wars on the BBC. So actually, no, I'm going to say the 90s.
Right, that was. Yeah.
You're going to say the 90s?
Yeah.
If only because it's the one I remember, and I don't remember anything particularly good in the 2000s. So.
Bridget Moore watched season 1 of Superman and Lois. Yes, it's on the BBC iPlayer. I will say also, I think Tokyo Vice is coming to the BBC. I think it's BBC 2 in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So
I'll watch it.
Tokyo Vice is going to be on the BBC. I think it's BBC 2 in 2-3 weeks' time. Jonathan Frost, here we go. 80s for sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah, the 80s has some really good stuff. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I just keep, when I said that, asked that question, you know what just came into my mind? Hill Street Blues, for some reason, came into my mind.
Early 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hill Street Blues. I used to watch that. Used to think it was really good.
Yeah. Melvin Deeply, early 2000s, I reckon. Probably, but there's been iconic shows since the 60s. But when it was the 2000s, TV started getting movie-sized budgets. Yes.
Yep.
2000s. Ooh, turn that off. Okay, so here we go. Bridget. Here we go. 60, 70, 80, 90, zeros.
Cheating.
Yeah.
All of the decades.
See, in the 70s, I was obviously young, child. Star Trek, Space 1999, that type of stuff. Mad about it.
Same here. That used to be my thing, yeah.
80s, it was... here we go. Al Bundy Rules. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Children's
Great show. Great show.
Never get made today.
No, it wouldn't.
The 80s was the A-Team.
Yes.
Early was Buck Rogers. It's all the Glenn Knight Rider, all the Glenn A. Larson stuff.
Larceny, yeah. Glenn A. Larceny stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
No, there were some great shows, and there were also some rubbish shows that I'm quite still fond of, like Automan. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I loved Automan.
In BBC One.
Yeah, it got cancelled before its time.
Yeah, Street Hawk. Remember that one?
Yeah, again, great.
Airwolf.
Brilliant.
Those shows, I tell you, Saturdays, they were great.
Bridget Moore, 80, 90 for TV themes.
I mean, Magnum. I used to watch Magnum as well.
Yeah, I did as well. The Wire. I think the Wire
I didn't watch that.
I think was the Wire late 90s?
No, 2000s, I think.
Early teens. Sorry, early zeros.
I think early zeros.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then obviously Breaking Bad, which ended 10 years ago. Breaking Bad, brilliant.
Yeah.
Dean says Dukes of Hazzard, Magnum, PI, Buck Rogers. Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard. I'm very fond of that. Was Kathleen? Was the girl's name in there? Daisy. Oh my God, Daisy.
Duke.
Oof, hello. Great legs.
80s Tales of the Gold Monkey.
Yes, I remember that. Tales of the Golden Monkey. That was starred the guy that was in Star Trek. Decker, guy who played Decker in Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, the one who's in prison.
Okay. Yeah, he was the star of that show. Tales of the Golden Monkey. It was kind of like an Indiana Jones rip-off thing. It was all right.
I think
it wasn't great.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it. Okay.
Oh, God.
Right, so we're going to the ridiculous now. Who's seen this? Apparently it was the worst. Only one episode to go for this season. Anybody seen this?
God.
This is where we needed Trevor.
Yeah, I've seen it, I think.
Oh.
So was it the worst?
Part Possibly. So I was doing this long video editing project, and I like procrastinating, and I quite often will put on a TV show that I hope will distract me so I don't get terribly bored. I put on Picard, and I don't think I've ever got more work done in a single sitting. It didn't distract me once, because every time I looked up, it was just, oh, look, more stupid shit's happening. I believe this is the one where Picard basically tells the Borg Queen that diversity is our strength, and she says, you know what? Right. Therefore, you can leave me here, and we're not going to trouble you ever again, because we're going to admit people's individual beauty and all of its greatness. They've actually neutered the Borg, which is astonishing given how amazing the Borg were as this villainous concept. And they've just looked at that and they've thought, you know what that needs more of? Diversity. The Borg need diversity, and then they'll be happy, because the Borg are lonely, fundamentally. That's the problem with the Borg Queen. She's lonely. So feelings again. Feelings, they've solved the feelings problem. They fixed the Borg, or destroyed the Borg is a better way of putting it, and that's it. And of course that has implications for the future timeline, because now the Borg aren't going to threaten Earth in future. So all the stuff that happened,
contact's not going to happen then.
Yeah, all the stuff that actually happened with the Borg no longer will happen, I assume, because that's how timelines work. So just utter garbage.
Dean in the chat, I've gone Trek free since I forced myself to watch season 1 of the venereal disease. Only line from that show that resonates is ironically
Really?
for me, those 3 words is when that was somebody putting the final boot into Star Trek. Those 3 words.
I can't believe what you've just said to me, Ross Cord, just now on that episode.
It's
that
astonishing, isn't it? Yep. Again, I wasn't
That's
paying a huge amount of
incredible.
attention, but from what I gathered from the bits I did watch and pay attention to, that is in fact what
Well
occurred.
done, Dean.
Wow.
The mighty Darius, the Borg love diversity. They assimilate it.
But here they don't. Here, the whole thing about adding your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own is no longer a thing, because they won't assimilate anymore. All they will do is they will assimilate individuality. So actually, there is no Borg collective. So great.
God, what a load of shit.
And if you think that's bad, next week we've got the hammer blow, or is it, of, we think it's been teased, Q is going to make Picard human again and normal.
Why?
Is he going to retcon everything next week?
But what would be the point?
In
what does that
preparation of
achieve?
season 3, mate. That's what it would achieve.
But what about season 3 requires that season 1 be retconned? I mean, good taste requires that season 1 be retconned. But why does the
Trev's
setup...
the expert on this. We will get Trev back on this next week. He's been watching this.
It really does sound like shit. It's not even worth my time. None of it. Thank God I'm not watching it, because that would just make me laugh. If what you just described just now would have just made me laugh.
And that's kind of the astonishing thing, because it really ought to make people incredibly angry, but we're so used to it by now that you look at it and think, oh, for fuck's sake, that's just a joke. Yeah, that's how it is. It's so ridiculous that it doesn't even elicit strong feelings. It's just silly. And in response to Melvin Deepleys in the chat, I mean, I thought Agnes already was the Borg Queen. So that's what's happened. They've been ripping off Battlestar Galactica for the entire time, but they've put in the red dress, somebody who can't really wear the red dress. But she has been Borg Queen.
Baltar as well.
And Baltar is in it, yes. Yeah. It's just silliness.
What a load of shit. Seriously, why? Why do we even bother?
Dean Krantz, the drinker, put it best. These people are standing on the shoulders of giants and failing miserably. These shows are why YouTube is flourishing. Wow.
Which is a perfect opportunity for me to say that my Star Trek Discovery review will be out tomorrow on YouTube.
Do you want to put your channel link in the chat? Lord Chord's channel is becoming the premier Star Trek channel if you're into it, boys and girls.
I will be watching it, man. To hear your thoughts on. I'm not going to watch that show ever, but it'll be interesting to see what you think.
I think part of my ambition is to do this so more people don't have to watch it, and then if I make it so some people know what's going on without having to actually put themselves through that pain, then I will have done a public service, which is what I'm in this for.
Lord Chord is taking one for the team. He's doing it so you don't have to, folks. So you could, even though I know most of you are subscribed to his channel, Lord, if you put your channel link in there, I'm sure the boys and girls will.
Everybody's calling him Lord now.
It is. Okay. So, final episode next week.
Yay! It's coming to an end.
You'll have nothing to talk about if it comes to an end.
I'll be absolutely screwed. I'll have to go back to shitting on Marvel again.
Was this on this week? I don't know. I think it was. Anybody who's seen it?
No, I'm not interested in it anymore. I lost it at episode 1. It's absolute shit. People still watching it. Good luck with them. Good luck to them.
I think I got to halfway through episode 3.
I can't be asked with this stuff anymore.
Just dog shit.
It's all crap.
Anybody in the chat watch this week?
I haven't seen this one. I actually did watch. I tried to watch the thing from the start because there was nothing else on, and again, I wanted a distraction. And I think I put 4 episodes on. I do not remember a single thing that happens. Nothing about it sticks in the mind. It's not a story that needs or wants to be told. Oscar Isaac is kind of doing all right in the role, but the role is tedious and boring. The story is nonsensical.
Yeah, it's way
it just, everything goes in one ear and straight out the other, and you forget that you've watched it. So I just don't see the point in Moon Knight at all.
It's just pointless, isn't it?
Same here.
He's big enough for them to try and put him in as an actor. Sorry, I mean, he's a big enough actor to have a leading role in the MCU. The problem is, if this was the vehicle to get him there, no one will give a damn, because Moon Knight as a character just isn't attracting anybody's attention. So what are they supposed to do with that? It's a really staggering waste on the part of Disney Plus. They have access to all of these, very good actors, and they have so much money to spend, and they cannot turn these into anything like a decent story. And I think money is probably the reason. Money is not good for art, because you can it's the same thing. The Star Trek has the same problem. If you have access to huge budgets for CGI, then you can just make things flash and bang and look pretty, and that's enough to keep some people's attentions, and you don't then have to focus on writing good, compelling storylines and making the most of limited resources, which is what you saw in older TV shows, particularly in older Star Trek shows in particular.
Jonathan again has been taking one for the team. Newest episode of Moon Knight was about Mark / Stephen coming to terms of when his personality split. Fucking hell, what is it? A counselling session, or is it superhero?
It's like what was that one Falcon and Winter Soldier where the men were crying every second and all that rubbish? Just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What can one say now?
Not watch Moon Knight, rather watch TJ Hooker. Yeah, it's got the Shatner in it. Yes, I would as well. Okay, so I think there's one more episode of this, I do believe, and then it's finished. Okay, so we're approaching the end now. So Halo this week. Anybody watched it?
No.
Not this week's, I don't think.
I will say it's getting better. We're getting to the crux of the story now of the title of the program. So we're getting closer to Halo. The first episode where he took his helmet off, obviously that's a problem. I can see probably why they've done it for the story and certain parts of the story. So I've kind of got over that. I know the purists are doing the nut over it, which is fair enough. I don't think the story's too bad. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. I'm quite enjoying it, but I'm probably desperate for some decent sci-fi. Production wise, it looks okay. If we can get through season 1 with everything that's going on, I'm kind of hopeful for season 2. But that's just me.
It wasn't completely irredeemable. I mean, I haven't seen this week's one. I think I've seen the rest, and it's not utter shit, which is something now, because if you can say it's not utter shit, then hey, that's a positive sign. That's something we can take. It's a staggering missed opportunity. You have this brilliant lore, a much loved franchise, an iconic character, brilliant soundtracks, even basically everything is set up for this to have been an incredibly successful show. And rather than make the most of any of this, they've decided to discard all of it. And they haven't even managed to use the money thing to really get out of it, because there are some very impressive looking set pieces, but those are all couched with just bizarre directorial and lighting choices, which make the costumes seem much cheaper than I'm sure they actually are.
Geek on the job.
Yeah, but it's simple things. It's like if you're wearing an outfit like that, you do not put them out in the. It's the problem with the Joss Whedon cut for Justice League, when they these characters' outfits are not designed for the lighting he put them in, and it makes them look very silly. And this is why John, what's his name, in Halo looks like a Power Ranger half the time, and then sometimes the fight in CGI just looks very clunky and it breaks the uncanny valley. Then there are some really very impressive scenes as well, and you just think all this could do with some consistency. And if you can achieve a kind of consistency, it can start to repair some of the lost opportunities that it threw away at the beginning, and it could turn into something which is just all right. I don't think it will ever be brilliant. It's not as bad as it could have been, and there is potential for it to become better. It's just, do they have the talent to pull that off? And they haven't yet shown that they do.
I hope
I'm not watching it, so I can't comment on it. So I know, you know.
Thing is, I think if even if you start watching something, there's a point where you keep watching it and you kind of you get into it. I think I've probably reached that point. So, as I said, it's season 1. It's done things wrong, but
I think one of the main reasons why we're not so engaged in these shows, because there's a lot of shows out there. I think it's just too many. You know, gone are the days when like a show would stand out above the rest of them, like House, or or even Magnum, going back that far. And you gravitate towards it because a lot of people have been talking about it, or it's been in newspapers or magazines and stuff like that. But today there's just too much stuff. I didn't even know.
Content.
Yeah, I didn't know Halo existed until you told me, Ian, that it was a show, and I didn't know it existed at all. So
it goes back to that question earlier about the best era or decade for TV, and it's why I don't think anyone did cite anything from the last 10 years, because it's a side effect of this proliferation of streaming services, which is that once upon a time, when you were much more limited in the availability of channels, and the channels themselves were much more limited in their budgets, and they couldn't just mass produce content, it actually led to more culturally important programs, because these were the things that, like it or not, everybody had very little choice but to watch. Sometimes they were really good, and sometimes they were not that good. But even Friends, which was not particularly good, is nevertheless culturally iconic because everyone sat down and watched it. The only thing I can think of since the dawn of streaming services which has come close, even just for a short time, to that sort of level of cultural ubiquity was, I guess, Stranger Things, because everyone was talking about that for a while, and Netflix was the first and the only streaming service around. But since then, we've got all of these streaming services. They've all got so much money, of other people's money, that they're borrowing, and it's not doing them very good. They're putting out so much content, and everyone has a different little pigeonhole that they've been placed in now. It's almost hard to see how you will ever again get this one great defining TV show that everyone agrees is the thing of their era, because there isn't one that can just, the market is not set up to encourage that kind of viewership anymore. And we've got more choice, but are we actually making any use of that choice? Have we lost something with that choice?
Think though, back in the day, you had 3 channels. That was it.
Yeah, no, that's going back too far. But I'm talking about the era where, Dexter, House, all those iconic shows. I think that was the 80s, or was it the 90s? I can't remember. But they did have some really great shows that, like for instance, when House was out, I couldn't miss an episode of House.
Same here.
And that's when it was broadcast. You know what I mean? I wasn't waiting to record it or anything like that. I couldn't miss an episode of House. Couldn't miss an episode of Dexter.
Yeah, I think House and Dex, if I remember rightly, I think House started 2005.
Yeah.
Dexter a little bit later.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of end of the zeros, early teens was really good TV.
I mean, it was good TV, and going back even further, as I said, Hill Street Blues. I mean, that was when we had 4 channels.
Channel
I think,
4 that was, and we watched
Channel
that. It was
4.
great.
Yeah, and then Sky happened, and then obviously we were watching stuff on Sky. Disappointed that some of the shows I used to watch on BBC Two had transferred over to Sky.
Yeah,
and it was plagued by adverts. Every second it was a freaking advert. And it was just
a lot of
annoying.
Star Trek as well. But
yeah. Yes, Generation was it?
Yeah.
Or was it
Sky,
Deep Space? I can't remember.
A lot of the time, BBC Two would get one of the programs, and then Sky would poach it. Time Prophet in the chat. Hello, Time Prophet. Never watched Dexter. Didn't like the premise. Mega Geek loves Dexter.
I thought it was terrific. It was one of those shows that was very unique, and I just loved it. Thought it was a great show. I didn't like the last season, obviously, but I don't think anyone did. To tell you the truth.
Quick question then, off the top of your head, best program you can think of in the past 10 years? Lost, quick.
Oh, crap.
Best program, 10 years.
Top
of your head. Come
You
on.
got to think of it.
I'm struggling. I think season 1 of Stranger Things was probably it. I think that was
Stranger
really good
Things
TV.
for you, yeah.
I'm not saying that it is the best of the last 10 years, but it's the one that
but that's off the
most
top of your
readily
head.
to mind. Yeah.
Mega Geek?
I would say Dexter or House for me personally.
I'd say Banshee, best program of the past 10 years. In the chat, first program you can think of the past 10 years that you think is shit hot. Lord is Stranger Things. Ian is Dexter. I think Banshee. Okay, so it'd be interesting, guys, to see what you like.
Oh, Hannibal was also very good. Up until
is that one with Matt Mickelson? Where his name is?
Mickelson, yeah. I mean, it was very silly and hyper stylized, but it was also quite addictive.
I remember it being really disturbing as well. I saw a couple episodes. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch all of it, but it was okay. But it was all right.
Melvin Deeply.
Fringe. Fringe is another good show, I thought.
Dexter and House are more than 10 years old. I was going out with a girl from Edinburgh in about when she was massively into Dexter, and that was about 10 years ago. Maybe a little bit, maybe kind of 2012, 2013. I think that's roughly when House finished as well. Didn't House run for about 6 or 7? Was it 7?
8 seasons, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's 8.
I was massively into House, but kind of when I got to season 6, started watching, I think, first 2 episodes, and then I think I got a bit fatigued.
Yeah, it did.
Massively into it.
Yeah, it did get samey, but the thing that kept me watching was Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, he was absolutely brilliant.
Darius,
more and more are coming to me. The thick of it is brilliant.
I like the thick of it.
The American version is also pretty good. Actually, there are more for the last 10 years now. You think about it, but
Darius, Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah, Sons of Anarchy.
Melvin, Breaking Bad. Yeah, fucking hell, that was great. Fucking great, Breaking Bad. Time Prophet. Did they have elephants in Hannibal?
No,
just
no.
And then he goes, "Do they have girls in Edinburgh?" They did, and she was amazing. But there you go. Bishop, Black Sails.
Oh, again, very good series. Yes.
Jonathan, Orphan Black.
Orphan Black was amazing. I'm sorry, that show was amazing. In fact, I never watched all the seasons, but the seasons I did watch, I actually started watching it when I visited my brother in Canada. That's when I started watching it. So yeah, no. Do you remember those? What was that quiz show that they used to have on Channel 4 with Noel Edmonds with the boxes?
Oh, Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. Deal or No Deal used to be a permanent fixture in my house. People used to love that show. I don't understand why, but hey. But yeah.
Melvin Deeply, and I know why he said this. Controversy. I couldn't stand Banshee. Lasted half a season.
All right.
Yes.
Why was that then?
When I was recommended Banshee by a friend at work, and literally first 5 seconds they were shagging. I thought, oh fucking hell, here we go. It was literally every episode was shagging. But I stuck with it. And it is fantastic.
It's telling, isn't it, what a decline has been on that no one has mentioned Game of Thrones.
Well, Game of Thrones have been spoiled as far as people have keep telling me, because I've never used to watch it. You know what? I had the pleasure of Keith, who is a friend of mine. He runs a channel on YouTube. He's part of BAFTA, and he kindly gave me. They were having a screening of the first episode with some of the stars there, and he kindly invited me to it. And I met Sean Bean and Mark Addy and stuff like that. And I watched the episode. I was like, shall I watch this as a series? And I thought, okay, I'll watch one episode. So I watched the first season. And I just thought it was really dull and slow. So I stopped watching it.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that you really did have to stick with. And then I think season 2 and 3, it does become very good. And then you've stuck with it that long, so you sort of have to stick with it for the rest. But people stuck with it for a very long time and got very invested in it. And that the way they concluded it, I think, is probably the reason it hasn't already been mentioned by anyone in chat, because it has effectively wrecked everything that it did right. And the reputation is unsalvageable. And there's the prequel show coming out relatively soon. And from what I've seen, there's virtually no hype about it at all.
I would just say, Melvin, going back to the Banshee, season 3 of Banshee is probably the finest season of TV I have ever watched. It is that good. So, Melvin,
okay. High praise indeed.
Perhaps you should revisit it and try and stick with it, because season 3, fucking hell, incredible. Anyway, okay, so shall we move on? So so I think this is the last news thing. This drops this week. There's been a few kind of reviews that seem favorable. I don't know if these are kind of like paid reviews. I don't know. These are on the YouTube. It seems to me that Star Trek is finally going back to what Star Trek should be.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Not going to be watching shit like that. As I keep saying to everyone, I'm a true Star Trek fan. I grew up with Star Trek. It was part of my childhood. I will not be watching, and I will not be supporting the people that actually destroyed Star Trek. Sorry, but no. I don't care how good that show is. I am not supporting shit like that.
That is a proper hammer blow, isn't it?
Well, why would you? That's my point. Why would you, if you're a fan? Why would you do it? Sorry?
I have a theory about this. I think, obviously, Klutzman was the man who's wrecked it.
Yeah.
But with everything that's been going on with the left and right stuff in the USA at the moment, and Lord will confirm this, CBS is a right... Is it a white... is it left? Sorry, is it left, CBS?
Most big American corporations and film studios are, to one degree or another, and it's firmly left culturally, which is why it's produced the kind of Star Trek shows it has. I mean, you wouldn't get even a vaguely centrist, politically film studio producing something like Star Trek Discovery. It's just
it's all this kind of extreme leftism stuff, isn't it? So my theory is it's coming directly from the studio as well.
I mean, I don't mean to make people feel guilty, or anyone here to feel guilty about what they, if they want to watch this show. But I as I said, I can only speak for myself. I quite frankly, I don't care if people watch it. But as I said, for me, I'm a true Star Trek fan, and I will not let this, spoil my memory of Star Trek. The casting is so bad. The guy they got to play Spock is just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Let's face it. He looks nothing like Spock. He doesn't even... Anyway, I'll stop there. There's no point in saying anything, is there?
I genuinely think, as we all know, one of the highlights of is it 5 years now of Star Trek? Or was it 4? Seems like an eternity. Was season 2, Anson Mount Pike. So literally,
Yeah, it's the strength of that got this show off the ground anyway. I mean, if it weren't for that, this show wouldn't exist. And I know Akiva Goldsman did say that they wanted this to be more optimistic and also structured much more like an old Star Trek show. In other words, it's not serialized. It's not one storyline going through the entire thing. It's also episodic, so much more in the form of the original series and Next Generation and stuff. But if they think that the problems with where Star Trek has gone is purely the structure, then they've missed the point entirely. It's not necessarily that the structure of these new shows is bad, though it's not particularly good. It's what they do with those new shows. It's what they say. It's the ideals they espouse. It's the characters they put on screen. It's the messages they propagate. It's the injection of politics into absolutely everything. And it's this sacrificing of the ideals that once made it, one of the most thoughtful things on TV in favor of bog standard boilerplate political propagandizing, which doesn't think about anything and has fashions rather than morals. That's what's gone wrong with it. And you're not going to fix that if Strange New Worlds does the same thing, even if you do that in an episodic form rather than a long serialized story. The structure is not the problem with modern Star Trek. It's the writing, the directing, the messaging, and the motivations that go into it.
Bridget Moore's passing.
I'm very tempted to. I mean, I think the only reason I could conceivably see myself watching it is because it's kind of good for my channel. So I might do that. And there's always that little element of hope. Maybe this time is the time where they get it right. But you should absolutely ignore that little spark of hope because they keep shifting on it. So
with the comment previously about budgets going up for kind of effectively movie quality TV series. It's just a shame something like this wasn't made 10, 15 years ago, or made, Picard was made 10, 15 years ago, and not recently. But anyway, because obviously it'd been a totally different program.
But who cares, though? As I said, who cares? This isn't Star Trek. As far as I'm concerned, it's not Star Trek. You want to hold on to straws. It's up to you. Yeah. But as I said, I don't care. This was born out of something that destroyed something, and I will not stand for it personally. I don't think it's right. Sorry? I
don't think the guys in the chat are liking this.
What are they liking?
It's not called Strange New Worlds. It is Trans New Worlds. Jonathan, Strange New Genders.
I mean, just the fact that they have number one is a woman, and they have this other woman in there as well. I can't remember. I saw pictures.
Pilot, no, wasn't she?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still stinks of woke to me. The whole thing. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't trust things like this anymore. I really don't. It's up to you guys if you want to watch it, and I understand if people want to watch it to. Because of their YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I will say to the guys, though, they need to check out Banshee, Barry. What else do they need to check out? Better Call Saul is fantastic.
What else Tokyo Vice?
Yeah, Tokyo Vice.
Which I still haven't
seen. Superman and Lois. So there are good programs about to watch. So anyway, okay, so I think that is it. Apologies for the lack of guests, but we've got quality guests.
People had lives.
Yes. Please consider donating to the channel. Links in the description, blah, 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 all that usual stuff. Time Prophet in the chat. Is Tokyo Vice anything to do with Miami Vice? In a roundabout way, yes, because it's produced by Michael Mann. And I think the first episode was directed by Michael Mann. And as I said, it's going to be on the BBC in 2-3 weeks' time.
BBC.
So I think that is it. I will thank the chat. Guys, you're wonderful. Always great to see you here. We're going to do our best to make this a regular Sunday just to finish the week off, as it were. So, top draw, guys. Thank you for the interaction. As I always say, we are nothing without you guys, and I truly mean that. I will thank the guests. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, no worries, guys. No worries.
Cheers, Paul. Always great to have you on. And the Dark Sith Lord.
He's never going to live that one down.
Cheers, my friend.
Thank you as always.
And as I said, Lord Chord has got a Star Trek video coming out tomorrow, and
Lord Chord.
it's probably going to be about 17 hours long. But it will be
just the actually this one comes in at 56 minutes, so it's actually shorter than the last one.
It's going to be 56 minutes of quality. So there you go. So that's tomorrow. So I think we're out of here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to do a real credible alternative to the big boys. So I think that is it. We will see you soon. Take care. Bye.